Milo, just stay close, okay? Rain lashed down. The city lights blurred through the downpour. Two small figures huddled in a doorway, shivering.
I'm scared, Leo. It's so cold.
Leo and Milo, young capybaras far from their home. They had arrived stowed away on a ship, a cargo vessel from the Amazon. Now, lost and alone, they faced the cold reality of New York City. The stench of garbage filled their nostrils. The distant wail of a siren sent shivers down their spines. The brothers huddled closer, their tiny bodies trembling in the cold. I promised Mom I'd protect you, but how in this concrete jungle? The city was a maze of towering buildings and unforgiving concrete. Survival was the only thing on their minds. Leo, the elder by a mere few minutes, held his brother close. His heart ached with fear. The rain showed no mercy. It hammered down on the two brothers, each drop a tiny drumbeat of despair. But amidst the cold and the fear, a spark of determination flickered in Leo's heart. He would not give up. He would find a way. For Milo, for their family, for their lives.
Days turned into weeks. The city held no warmth for the two young capybaras. They scavenged for scraps, always alert, always hungry. The city's heart seemed as hard as its pavements.
Stay hidden, Milo. We can't trust anyone here. We might have a chance here, Milo. Leo learned fast. The city was a dangerous place. He taught Milo to stay hidden, to avoid the two-legged creatures that roamed the streets. Trust was a luxury they couldn't afford. One evening, they stumbled upon a group of their kind, capybaras living in the city's underbelly. These were tough, streetwise creatures hardened by their experiences. They offered Leo and Milo a fragile safety, a place in their fold.
The group's leader, a grizzled old capybara named Scar, saw potential in Leo. He was quick, strong, and fiercely protective of Milo. Scar took them under his wing, teaching them the ways of the city. But even in this newfound camaraderie, Leo couldn't shake off the feeling that something was deeply wrong. The city was under the thumb of the Vice Lords, a ruthless gang that preyed on the weak. They trafficked in stolen goods, fear, and despair. The law seemed powerless against them.
They're everywhere, Milo. We have to be careful.
Leo saw the fear in the eyes of his newfound family, saw how the Vice Lords ground them under their heels. One night, the Vice Lords raided their hideout. Scar, their protector, was brutally beaten. Milo was almost taken. Rage, raw and consuming, swept over Leo.
I won't let them hurt you or anyone else.
He fought back with a ferocity he never knew he possessed. He managed to drive the attackers away, but the damage was done. Scar, mortally wounded, whispered a final message to Leo.
Control through fear, young one. You have the courage to fight. Be their shadow, their nightmare, be Shadowclaw.
Leo, consumed by grief and fury, vowed to avenge Scar and free his kind from the Vice Lord's grip. He donned a cloak, its darkness a symbol of his mission. He would become Shadowclaw, a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a bringer of justice. The night belonged to Shadowclaw. He moved like a wraith, striking fear into the hearts of the Vice Lords.
This city needs justice. I will bring it.
His knowledge of the city's underbelly, gleaned from weeks of scavenging, became his weapon. He knew their routes, their hideouts, their weaknesses. One by one, Shadowclaw took down the Vice Lords' operations. He disrupted their smuggling rings, exposed their corrupt deals, and rescued those they exploited. His legend grew with each act of defiance, whispered in hushed tones among the city's downtrodden.
Find him. He can't hide forever.
The Vice Lords, enraged by this shadowy vigilante, placed a bounty on Shadowclaw's head. But they underestimated him. They were fighting a creature of the shadows, a force fueled by righteous anger and a burning desire for a just city. Word of Shadowclaw's exploits spread. The oppressed, emboldened by his bravery, began to resist the Vice Lords. Shopkeepers refused to pay protection money. Families banded together to protect their own. A spirit of defiance bloomed in the city's cracks.
Initially, I was terrified by my brother's transformation, but then I saw the hope Shadowclaw ignited.
Milo became Leo's confidant, his link to their community. He helped spread the word, rallied their people, and provided crucial information about the Vice Lords' movements. The city, once shrouded in fear, started to believe again. They believed in Shadowclaw, the Capybara Vigilante, but more importantly, they believed in themselves, in their strength to fight for what was right. The Vice Lords, their grip on the city weakening, grew desperate. They decided to make an example of Shadowclaw.
Let's lure him into a trap. A showdown at the abandoned docks.
It was a night of howling wind and crashing waves, a fitting backdrop for a final confrontation. Shadowclaw walked into the trap knowing full well the risks.
Outnumbered, outgunned, but not outmatched.
He fought with the fury of a cornered animal, his agility and knowledge of the terrain his only advantage. Crates splintered, chains snapped, and the air filled with the sounds of a desperate struggle. He moved like a shadow, striking from unexpected angles. The Vice Lords, used to instilling fear, found themselves afraid of the very creature they hunted. But even Shadowclaw, for all his skill, was still just one capybara against many. The news of Shadowclaw's stand against the Vice Lords spread like wildfire. The city, holding its breath, listened to the distant sounds of the battle.
We knew what was at stake. It wasn't just the life of a vigilante, it was the fate of our newfound hope.
But the city had underestimated its hero, narrator. And then, silence. A silence more terrifying than the sounds of the fight. Had Shadowclaw fallen? Had the city's hope been extinguished before it could truly ignite?
Just when all seemed lost, a figure emerged from the shadows. Battered but unbroken, Shadowclaw stood triumphant. The Vice Lords were defeated, their reign of terror finally over. The city erupted in cheers. The news of Shadowclaw's victory spread through the streets like a tidal wave. People poured out of their homes, celebrating their newfound freedom.
The rain, as if sensing the change in the air, slowed to a drizzle.
The authorities, emboldened by Shadowclaw's actions and the city's unwavering support, moved in to apprehend the remaining Vice Lords. The city, once gripped by fear, was finally free.
Shadowclaw, his mission accomplished, vanished into the shadows. He knew his work here was done. The city had found its strength. They didn't need a vigilante anymore. They needed each other. He retreated back into the underbelly of the city, leaving behind a legacy of hope and resistance.
Parents told their children tales of the Capybara Vigilante, a symbol of courage and justice. Narrator, years passed, the city rebuilt, stronger and more united than ever. The memory of the dark days under the Vice Lord's rule began to fade, replaced by the stories of Shadowclaw.
The city never forgot the one who taught them to stand up for what was right, to fight for their home, to believe in the power of hope, even in the darkest of times. And in the shadows, unseen, unheard, a watchful presence remained. A guardian, a protector, a legacy forged in the heart of a city that had found its soul. Shadowclaw's spirit lived on, a silent promise that justice would always find its way.